Good afternoon, class. My name is Andre Johnson, and although there are many disabilities that a child or student may have, I wanted to touch on one today, and the title of it is Emotional Disturbance. An emotional disturbed child, according to IDEA, which is Individuals with Disabilities Educational Act, is basically saying it's a behavior that has been developed, has been displayed over a course of time that can't really be categorized, whether it's physical, cognitive, or what have you. So I wanted to touch on that, and there's a ton of research that surrounds this particular disability, but there's four main things that I want to talk to you about as an educator that I believe that can help you in the classroom. There's two types of behaviors I wanted to touch on that you can kind of look out for, and then there's two things at the end I want to touch on, which is an individual educational plan, which is an IEP, or a 504 plan. So I want to just dive right into what that IDEA is basically saying that emotional disturbed child is. And like I said, it's a child that has developed some type of behavior or cognitive disability that's been displayed over time that you really can put your finger on exactly what it is and what triggers it. So there's the four things that I think that can help you as a educator in the classroom or in the gym is one of the things that's very, very critical is that your rules of your classroom is posted extremely clear, very coherent, and easy for all the children, all the students to be able to identify with, to be able to understand without hesitation. One of the cool practices that I like to do in the classroom that I see many educators do is they have the students recite the rules, whether they're coming in or whether they're leaving. That can get a classroom going. It can get the classroom, it can really lower the stress level for you as an educator. And it also have the kids really know what the rules are by the end of either the day, the lesson, or even the school year. The second thing is that your lessons, whatever lessons that you're planning, has to be totally engaging, especially with emotional disturbed students. It has to be engaging. The closer you with that child, the more trust you will earn. The closer you get with the child, the more trust you will earn. Once that trust is earned, the connection and for that child to identify with you can really lessen the anxiety between you and the child, and you can get through a lesson, and it can lessen the chances of that child disturbing the rest of the class as you are trying to give your lesson. The third thing out of the fourth thing is come up with some type of system, like a token system, a reward system that will help you be able to give positive reinforcement to all the students. And you definitely want to either try to pinpoint a child or a student or two to continue to show that behavior and continue to throughout to be examples of the rest of the class, instead of you just being the teacher that stands in front of the class and just gives out rules. That, to me personally, I may have there's probably get a little kickback, but I don't believe that's a great way to do it. One of the practices that I've researched and studied is close proximity, staying close to the child, being extremely engaged, and your lesson can move forward, and you can accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. The fourth thing is that it's something that you have to have. You can research it, you can study it as much as you can, it's all you want. But the fourth thing I think is strong conflict resolution. Once you identify who and what is the issues of your class, whether the emotionally disturbed child is someone who internalizes behavior or externalizes behavior, which I'm about to get into, the signs and what you can look forward to, you know immediately what you can do and how to combat that with strong conflict resolution. Strong conflict resolution, you have to know how to diffuse a situation almost immediately. If you can diffuse it immediately, very quickly, because that can completely disturb the rest of your class. So you want to keep your students on task, and the way you can do identify a conflict almost right away and be able to diffuse it. Those are the four things I want to touch on that can make it easier for you as an educator when you have an emotionally disturbed child. The two types of behaviors that you want to look for is one internalized behavior and one externalized behavior. Internalized behavior is something where a child is maybe secretly taking drugs, always depressed, very, very sad, very antisocial, filled with anxiety. Those are like internalized. So like I mentioned about being engaged, the more you engage, the more you can understand your student and see which ones and identify which ones have that type of behavior trait in the disturbance and the disturbance. Externalized behavior. Now, this is a behavior that a child displays when they just want to either hurt you or an object. They either want to get into fights all the time, or they want to hurt or destroy or damage school property. Once again, strong conflict resolution, right? So I think that's why you have to be able to identify the two types of behaviors. You can easily, in conclusion, you can easily be well aware or have aware or get the inside track, what I like to call, by sitting in all their IEPs. And if you don't know what an IEP is, it's an individual educational plan for a specific child that has some type of disability, or a 504 plan. There is a difference between the two. It can cover up to 13 different, and you have to be approved, 13 different disabilities, and you have to be approved by the state. And there's a process that you go through that. A 504 plan is something very similar, but takes a different route, where a student would be able to have one type of plan to get them and keep them on task, and then go from there layer and layer, step by step, lesson by lesson, until the student can get back on task, whether it's a learning, cognitive, or psychomotor, depending on what it is. And those are the key points that I wanted to bring out in this quick presentation. But remember, all disabilities have to have one thing. You have to possess this one thing with all disabilities, and that's empathy. You got to have empathy and understanding with these kids and these students, and you have to be totally engaged. And in conclusion, that's my quick presentation on an emotionally disturbed student. Moving forward, I wish you all a great day, and God bless.